All right. Folks who join us from week to week, well, you're imaginary, so who cares? But this is not our Dungeons of Drakenheim campaign. Instead, we are taking a little bit of a pause to playtest some content and subclasses from the upcoming Game Master's Handbook of Pacts, Patrons, and Pantheons. This is stuff that has shown up nowhere else so far. Literally world premiere to crickets. So, if you do stumble across this, welcome. So, for context, tonight we will be following 5 heroes, each one a servant, a champion, a worshiper of a deity or supernatural patron. We have a fallen knight of summer who has forsaken his ancestral legacy to become a faithless warlock in service of the court of autumn. We have a mysterious conspiracy chasing Furbolg who has emerged from the deep dark woods to seek out strange and unusual happenings in the world. We have a living weapon, the physical embodiment of the black iron blade of Nari Freedom's Wish, a powerful djinn who was freed from captivity and now seeks to liberate others, except that her very own magical artifact has gained sentience, and she has set it free to seek its own path. We are also joined by Monkey, who is in fact a demonic monkey who is seeking to rise above his fiendish nature, following the path of Matara the Redeemer. And finally, we have Anon, a cleric of mystery about whom almost nothing is known. So we're going to take a minute and introduce everyone. We're going to introduce sort of your patron and how you got here, and then we'll jump into the fray of it. Who would like to go first?
I guess I can go first.
All right. So we begin deep in the Autumn Court. This is one of the less well-known major courts of the Feywild. Of course, many folks are familiar with the Court of Spring, the Court of Summer, the Court of Winter. Um, each one having its own sort of grand and elaborate palaces and powerful monarchs who rule over countless lesser Fey. But that's not quite the atmosphere in the Court of Autumn. Because presiding over the Court of Autumn is Anthocyanin, the king in waning. Anthocyanin is a forlorn figure. He sits on a throne carved of maple in a huge clearing where there are constantly leaves falling in reds and yellows and oranges and purples. They fall in swirling cascades, and yet somehow there's never more than a couple of inches of accumulation on the ground. And entering this clearing into the presence of the King of Autumn is our first character. So, CJ, if you would give your character's name and sort of describe them a little bit.
Uh, well, my character goes by Damien Thorne. Um, to look at him, you would think that he is uh, very much going through something, going through a phase, as the parents might say about their children. At one point, he was a good little boy. Um, Growing up in the spring courts, the 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 spring fae, I guess. But he grew up a little and became a little moody for reasons, and so picture biggest emo-ish, gothish looking person you can think, but instead of black coloring, it's dark orange. Um, and yeah, he's very elven looking, but pale except for the dark orange coloring.
So Damien enters this clearing, um, and those who perhaps are familiar with local politics, as we might say, might be a little perplexed for a moment to see him in the autumn colors of anthocyanin. Because Damien has the very distinct facial features of the Gladwin royal family, an expansive aristocratic lot, all descended from King Gladwin and the Queen of Spring. They're the most sort of well known mortal servants, and in this case, descendants of the Queen of Spring. And yet, Damien is wearing the colors of autumn. For those who could see in a magical spectrum, there's even more oddities. Damien carries a sword, quite a famous sword, in fact. It was once known as the Blade of Spring, one of the relics of the Gladwin family. But from the outside, it looks damaged. There's places of fractures, dings, and cuts, and maybe even a little bit of rust on the blade. But internally, magically, the story is even stranger. It's as if all of the vital spring energy of a fairly powerful Fae has been locked into this artifact, and now it pulses with strange energy. For those who are curious, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just I should also make note that Damien doesn't actually know how to use the sword. He just thinks it looks cool.
Yes. Mechanically, the sword is an eldritch focus. He used it for his it amplifies his spell casting. Because Damien is no longer a Knight of Spring. He is a faithless warlock. Something happened so severe that he has cut himself off from his family's ancestral energy, and it has caused profound magical changes to him. But with all that in mind, we see Damien approaching the throne. Anthocyanin is perhaps the best term to describe him would be a melancholy beauty. A handsome man with sort of what mortals would consider elvish features. He is wearing similar colors, and actually his hair has a sort of yellow-orange tint to it. But there seem to be leaves of all these various colors just simply growing in and through his hair. Despite his handsome appearance, he looks like a man with the weight of the world on his shoulders. Anthocyanin looks down and says, "My knight, I am loath to bend to such requests as have been placed upon me, but the courts have been called upon to offer up a mediator, an executor of the Concordat. And in their esteemed wisdom, my peers have decided that I should offer up a servitor for this purpose." Though I know you will not relish the task, you must present yourself at the ancestral Gladwin royal home to meet with your fellow executors. Damien, if I could avoid putting this upon you, I would. But I am afraid we have no other choice.
I look very grim. If possible, my face goes even paler. Um, but I offer no words of complaint. I just simply nod and say, understood. Uh, when shall I depart?
I will
I will
shape the
shape the
ways
waves.
to speed you along your way. You should leave with reasonable haste. But first, I would have you know that I appreciate what I am asking of you. And he holds out a hand, and Damien, you are constantly aware of this yawning magical and spiritual void at the center of your being. It's like a constant ache that almost never goes away. But in the time that you've been serving Anthocyanin, he has slowly been helping you to control and contain that energy, or lack thereof, such that it isn't dangerous to you or the people around you, unless you choose for it to be. And as he extends a hand, a cascade of leaves falls from above you, and you can quite literally feel the supernatural favor of your king falling on you. And as it does, there's a swirl of energy that passes into you, and you feel a barrier of yellow and orange and purple and red that sort of weaves itself around the void in your chest. Anthocyanin has given you another touch of his power to help contain the void. When he finishes, he nods his head, and you know that you are dismissed to go about your task.
Thank you, my liege. And I get up and start packing and preparing for my journey.
Once you are fully stocked and ready, um, there is a rift. Uh, it's a place where two trees sort of overlap, and it's like in the space between them, there is just a hole into a different forest, and you recognize the verdant greens of the edges of the Gladewind territory.
All I can think is it's not so good to be home. And I suppose I know the way fairly well and start heading to my old home.
And the portal closes behind you. Who would like to go next?
I guess I will.
Oh, I'm ready for Demon Monkey now.
Go for it.
All right. So we pick up in a very different place. We are high atop a mountain range. It's a fairly desolate place. the sort of natural and magical energies in this area are attracted and focused, weaving in and out between the different mountain peaks. You've been up here meditating for, well, you're not really sure. Sometimes time escapes you. You were sent here by your patron, Matana the Redeemed, herself a massive, now celestial ape. Herself a servant of the Hellwalker. You've been sent up here to meditate on the nature of free will, on the impact of duty and service to one another on your own spirit. So describe your character, and then tell me, how has that meditation been going?
Well, my character, he's just a little guy. He's just a little monkey. And, in his younger days, he got around to a lot of monkey business. And so he made a lot of monkey deals and did a lot of monkey problems. So he kind of became a little bit of a demonic monkey. And, eventually when, he hit his lowest low, his patron, she found him. And so she's trying to redeem him. And so he's been up here meditating. It's been going great, but now his ADHD has kind of been kicking in hardcore, so he's starting to get the itch. This really nasty itch. He needs to go out, he needs to do something. He needs to spread good and try and redeem himself a little bit more. Because he's starting to get that itch from all this meditating that's driving him up a wall. And so he's not the best at it, though. He'll still do some wacky stuff from his little bit of demonic times, but it'd be like that.
So here's a question. Monkey is in the process of this sort of gradual spiritual redemption, but also physical transformation. What is left of his old fiendish appearance? What are some of the telltale traces that are left?
Normally when he he starts getting a little pissier, a little angrier, his eyes kind of get a little redder, They don't look as quite like a normal monkey eyes. They kind of look a bit messed up, bit on the wild side, bit more on the dangerous side. Like he's just kind of a caged animal that's just ready to go out and murder as many people as possible. And every now and then, the standard demon horns kind of appear and disappear, and sometimes he'll lose a couple tufts of fur and he'll kind of get a little more scaly. But if he if he meditates, calms down, and refocuses, recenters, the demonic traits kind of hide themselves a little bit better. Granted, if you kind of go over there and you got fluff of his fur a little bit, you can still see the scales underneath. But they're going away. They're slowing down, disappearing, kind of fading back into normal skin. But if you rough up his fur, or he gets really pissy sometimes, you'll see it. You'll know he's a part demonic.
All right. So you become aware that your patron has appeared, not because of any sound that she makes, but because literally in her presence, there is a supernatural calm. You feel your own sort of fiendish impulses relax a little bit. They're not quite so hard to hold on to. But more than that, the actual environment around you calms. There's been this sort of howling wind and some mingling of rain and snow and sleet and lightning. And now there's a 100-foot radius bubble around the two of you that is calm and almost perfectly silent. Matana, you know that she can still take a version of her old fiendish ape form. But the appearance she has in front of you is... it's almost more like a tiefling. If a tiefling was 8 feet tall, carved from ivory, and then filigreed with gold. It's a very strange combination of features. and she appears and is simply meditating with her eyes closed in front of you. But somehow you start to become aware of her intent. Like Damien, you two are being summoned to serve as an executor of the Concordat, to go and make sure that the treaties and oaths and pacts between the divine powers and the supernatural entities are being upheld. This could just be a bunch of boring negotiation. It could be very slow, painstaking investigation. Or it could end with you busting a bunch of heads. How do you feel about that?
You know, honestly, I'm happy for both. Honestly, if both did happen, that'd be a dream come true. Bust a few heads, bust a few people, or just hash it out, have a little talking, little powwow, and we get all things sorted out. I'm down for a good powwow.
So as you sort of mentally assent to what's about to happen, you feel an even greater presence descend. Matana is, at this point, sort of a demigod. She's not quite a full divinity, but she's no longer just an ascendant fiend either. She's become something more. What you feel now is the presence of her master, the Hellwalker, a deity of grace and mercy who is known specifically, as their title says, for walking the hells and trying to quite literally redeem the very worst of souls. The various fiendish powers would love to get rid of them, but has not figured out a way to do that. The Hellwalker never harms anyone, but some really heavyweight powers have gone after them before and have not left a scratch. So for the most part, they just leave them alone and trust that they will ultimately win by sheer numbers in the end. So you feel the presence of the Hellwalker descend, and spiritual power tears a rift into the space ahead of you. And like Damien, you see a supernaturally green wood. It's sort of a strange wood. It's not that like deep, dark, primordial forest. The trees are huge and sort of well grown, but there's a weird vitality coming off of it that makes you think of seeds and saplings and new things growing. Are you ready to step through the portal?
Oh, you betcha I am.
All right. You step through, and the portal, it doesn't so much snap shut as space simply heals itself over, and that rift is gone. All right, two left. Colin or Aaron, who wants to go next?
I can go.
All right.
Yeah. So I am Ferelden Oakenvale, a Furbolg druid. I guess neighbor kids may refer to me as Thorn, not in a nice way. I'm kind of known as the crazy old man that kind of lives on the edge of town, who's always muttering to himself about some crazy, wild conspiracy that's going on. Seeing suspicious shadows and suspicious things in the world all the time. Always looking over his shoulder at thinking somebody's after him.
So you are a particularly strange being. for your order of druids. The Circle of Thorns, to which you belong, is one of the most secretive and hidden orders of druids, to the point where very few are even aware they exist. You've spent a lot of your life in the deep, deep dark wood, places where no one except the druids and the animals and the spirits move. But over time, your growing sort of paranoia and discontent has led you to make a strange request, to be allowed to leave the home of the circle deep in the wood, and come in and enter into sort of civilized human society for a while. So you've been able to sort of take up your place here. But the only reason why you've been allowed this dispensation is actually connected to the coat that you wear. This sort of red warm sweater-like garment, gifted to you not by another human or humanoid, but actually directly from your deity, Gerhun, the Devourer of Knowledge. Gerhun advocated for you specifically to be able to do this. So I feel like you've encountered Gerhun in person before. He likes to sort of ambush you, not like jumping out, but just like being somewhere unexpected. Where do you think you would encounter him?
Deep in the woods. Probably would have just come out from behind a bush or a large tree or something like that. As I'm looking closely at the shadows, thinking they're moving in ways they shouldn't be.
Yeah. So I think that you're deep in the woods. You're looking at these deep, dark shadows, and it's like your eyes pass over this big rock, and the rock is just sitting in a sort of dappled column of sunshine, and your eyes just sort of pass over it as unimportant. And it takes a second, and then you realize that there is someone sitting on the rock. Gerhun, to the best of your knowledge, has only ever appeared to you as a goblin, maybe 3 or 4 feet tall, but he's wearing sort of scholastic robes, except the the lowest parts of them are ragged and worn and muddy. He's holding half of a book in his hands, because he has literally been noisily chomping down and eating this book as you approach. How do you respond to seeing him here?
Are you hungry? Because there's some berries over there that are probably better to eat than the book.
You say this, but you can feel Gerhun's gift. Your mouth is watering looking at this book. You know that there's important information in this book, and it might be the information you need to make it all make sense.
Also, did you bring enough to share?
And actually, he did. Gerhun pulls out a strange book. It has a sort of hard, glossy cover of a type you've rarely seen. Almost always, books have been bound with like leather or with some kind of sturdy animal product. And this is odd. It almost looks like it's been treated by an alchemist or something. The cover has an incredibly colorful, portrait on it. It almost looks like someone has hand painted There we go. It almost looks like someone has hand painted a what you guess might be a fire giant, fighting with several attackers in some kind of fiery underground cavern. You don't recognize the words on it. Are you ready to take a bite?
Yeah, I think that looks unique and delicious.
So you start chomping into it. It takes 10 minutes to fully consume the book and its knowledge. Except what flows into you is not. It's not sort of like hard objective knowledge. It's almost like your eyes are opened a little bit more to the illusory nature of the world around you. You feel like you've gained some kind of insight into the true underpinnings of this world. You feel a sudden need to go back to your cottage and start pulling thread from your cloak and working on your board. But Gerhun laughs and says, call that a down payment. I have a task for you. I know that you do not like to wander terribly far, but an annoying request has been dropped on my lap. I have been asked to represent some of the local divinities in some bureaucratic something or other. It's not important. What matters for you is that I have decided to send you in my place. Isn't that exciting?
Do I have to?
Well, the good news and the bad news. The bad news is, well, yes, of course you have to. The good news is, I have more books. And he reaches in and he pulls out a stack of like, the pouch he's pulling them from is not this deep. He pulls out like a 2-foot tall stack of these strange books.
Ooh, nonfiction. Mm.
You recognize as he sort of stacks them. You recognize that they seem to have scenes of important people and creatures. You pick out what might be some kind of lich on one of them. There's a beholder in the center of another. You see a warforged. You see a representation of dragons battling with each other. Even what looks like an astral colossus, a creature you have only heard rumor of. You can just feel that same strange energy coming off these books. Now, I don't think you will enjoy this very much, but the rewards, those I think you will enjoy. And he shoves the stack back into the bag. For each task that you complete, a step closer to some of the knowledge that you seek.
What would you have me do?
Of course, there's a meeting. Attend this meeting, find out your first task, and work with your peers to complete it to the best of your abilities.
Will my peers be? Can I trust them?
Oh, certainly not. Each of them will be representing their own faction or master or what have you, with their own little goals and games and plots. Just be sure to get more than you give. And if you have a chance to eat any interesting libraries, be sure to do so.
I think that Theroden will, in his head, he's seeing this as an opportunity to finally not only find out who might be behind some of the, I guess, shadow puppets and controlling the terrible things in the world, but to actually do something about it as well. And so he'll agree, and he'll make sure to point out that he'll keep an eye on his peers as well.
So what do you do now?
Where's this meeting?
Gerhun just sort of points randomly and is like, "Oh, over there somewhere."
I guess I start wandering in that direction.
You only make it a few steps, and Gerhun is kind of like, sort of half humming, half singing to himself, and he goes, "Take a look, it's in a book." And as he says that, you step, and you hear the crunch of paper. You have stepped onto an open book, and as he sings his terrible song, you fall through the pages. You are dropped down into the illustration on the page, and then our sort of narrative perspective warps, and you fall on your butt into the woods at the edge of the Gladewind territory. And very distantly, you can hear Gerhun's voice trailing off. Reading Rainbow. This is not the first time he's done something like this to you.
Damn it, it's annoying, but I like that guy.
You can still feel the hum and buzz and crackle of that new information working its way through your mind. All right. By process of elimination, we are down to Aaron. Is Ferris the name you want to go with?
Hello? Test. Okay.
I think I'd written you down as
no,
Ferric, but I'll fix it.
No, it's okay. I just forgot what we agreed on. I knew it was something Ferris or Ferric, but I couldn't remember which one. I like either.
What I have written down is Ferric Wishborn.
Yes.
All right.
Bueller.
Bueller. Ferris Bueller. That would have been good too.
So
Ferris Ox-eyed.
So we find ourselves on the edge of a beautiful coastal town. The ocean is just glorious, wide and crystal blue. You can see docks and there's ships. There's a lot of ships sort of sailing out. You're sort of admiring the horizon, the way the sun is playing off the waves. And who do we see? Describe Ferric for us.
Ooh, like this, yeah, very large, man, I don't even, like 7 to 8 foot tall, I guess. I don't know the exact height. You know, just almost kind of hulking, but not quite. Robot-looking guy.
Yeah, so we have this somewhat strange vision. We see this very reflective, very contemplative, 8 foot tall black iron warforged. his body is this sort of beautiful work of magical artifice, both a sort of work of art unto itself, but also very clearly a deadly killing machine. Your metallic eyes are looking off at the horizon, and our camera sort of pans, and we can see that behind you, the volume sort of kicks in, and we hear screams and fire. And we can see there's like this coastal town is fully on fire. There is a small army of elementals just crashing through this humanoid city. It's been about, say, 4 hours since your master arrived here and freed the water elementals that they had enslaved to protect their precious port from waves and storms. And they have been pretty thoroughly destroying the city ever since. You feel a sort of comforting hand on your shoulder as your mistress appears behind you. Even your 8 feet of black iron is dwarfed by this 12-foot tall, blue-skinned woman. If you had to guess, you'd put her age maybe in like mid to late 30s, although you know that she's thousands of years old. She has dark, long hair in this like sort of loose ponytail, except the end of it keeps like wisping up into the air, curling into like magical smoke and dissipating. And Nari, Freedom's Wish, puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "What do you see when you look out there, Ferric?"
Free will. The right to choose your own path.
She smiles and nods. You all have had many versions of this conversation. How long has Ferric been awakened? You've existed as this other form for a very long time, but how long have you had this humanoid sentient form?
Probably been about a year.
Your memory before that's very disjointed. You have very little recollection of being the Black Iron Blade. You have only a vague recollection that you have been with Nari for what feels like thousands of years. You've been a part of her campaign of liberation, freeing humanoids and elementals and every manner of being from forms of slavery and exploitation. Until suddenly, about a year ago, you felt a jolt. And then you realized you felt. And then you realized you thought. And then a stream of thoughts cascading one over another. And you realized that you had become you, a self, an awakened entity. The magic of the Black Iron Sword reshaped itself and created the body that you have now. So Nari sort of squeezes your shoulder. It's gentle in the sense that you feel it, but it doesn't hurt you. It's crushingly strong because you're made of almost unbreakable black iron, and you could still feel it. And in a very sort of motherly way, she says, "I've been allowing you to discern your own course, and an opportunity has arisen that I think will help you along in that process." though you are very unique, it's impossible to say that you're a completely singular being. Though no one else will have exactly the same experience, you do have peers, individuals who have similar experiences. Some of them have served for decades, even centuries. Others are new to it as you are. I've been asked to send a representative to join a group of executors, and I think that you would benefit from the experience. Is that something you would like to do?
I would.
She smiles and says, I've always admired that courage of yours. And then it's almost like a switch flips, and she says, all right, well, here are the things you're going to need. And she starts like plucking items out of the air, and she's like, it's a backpack, but basically your mom is packing your suitcase. She's like, well, you're going to need that special oil for your joints, and the polish for your gauntlets, and you need a bedroll, and you need and she quickly assembles you this pack of stuff. And there's a brief moment where, while she's distracted doing this, you don't notice this either, but someone is sneaking up to attack her. It looks like maybe one of the last defenders of the city is trying to make a final stand, and he swings some kind of glowing, malevolent-looking sword. In the brief flash of motion, you realize it has some property that's meant to harm without killing elementals. It seems like this was a weapon that was used to sort of cattle prod the water elementals. And he swings it at Nari, and without missing a beat, you feel a slight tug, and a shadow of what you once were, this blade of reforged black iron, appears in her hand, and she smoothly cuts through this magical sword and straight through the neck of this person attacking her without looking. Then she lets go of her sword, which dissolves back into smoke, and continues packing your bag. Says, all right, I think that's everything. Oh, some travel money. She flicks a finger, and the coin purse flies off the belt of this rapidly cooling corpse. And she looks at it and says, yeah, that should be enough. And she hands it all to you. And with that, she sweeps a hand, and there is a sort of whoosh of magic, and a gleaming doorway, like an archway filled with coruscating magic, appears, and you are able to depart for Gladewind. So we pick up. Each of you has been deposited at the edge of the Gladewind territory. Again, there is this overwhelming sense of like young, vital growth and rebirth. And it's just permeating this place. You're easily able to find sort of the main paths. There's lots of carefully manicured trails and roads here. And servants of the Gladewind family direct you all into carriages, which bring you to the center of the Gladewind estate. It is a massive, elegant, whimsical castle. Imagine think of like a like an aristocratic estate, maybe in like 19th century England, and then scale that up to an impossible size, and then cover it in Lord of the Rings elf architecture. There's lots of like sweeping spires. There's like strange spiraling strange spiraling ornamentation that doesn't seem to be for anything. There's all of these like exotic trees. Some of them appear to be like precious metals, like trees of silver and gold and platinum just growing up out of the ground. You see a mix of sort of mundane and magical animals moving about. Strange birds that literally trail rainbows in the sky behind them. You see what looks like a family of deer following this massive stag with silver, like chiming antlers. It's almost like as he moves, the antlers are making a chord, and as the chord resonates, it warps the air around them. You also notice that there are fey humanoids just walking around. You would not see this in sort of a normal city. But it looks like there are fey aristocrats, but you also see a lot of like lesser fey as well. Brownies and redcaps and sprites and dryads, all sort of mingling with this mostly elven population. So these carriages bring you to the center, and you all see each other for the first time. Does anyone have a particularly strong response?
Is it clear we're all representatives, or are we just sort of passing in a busy marketplace?
So 5 carriages have all pulled up. You're at sort of the edge where the true heart of the estate begins. This is like the Gladwin family home. There are not as many people here, and you can definitely tell that you all are, at the minimum, sort of honored guests. But more than that, each of you, you've probably experienced this before, but there's a certain feeling radiating off of each of you. You all are not just like random servants. You all are sort of highly connected, highly favored vessels or heralds for very powerful entities. So, like Thorn, you see Damien, and you just know Anthocyanin. You can feel that sort of Autumn Court energy radiating off of him. Ferric is crackling with this like almost imperceptible blue lightning that smells like ozone and ocean and somehow of freedom. There's all these distinctive markers, so you know these are people who are in some way like you.
I may be like kind of aware of their presence in my peripherals, but I am very distracted about going back to my family estate. I am very much focused on myself.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to cut away for a second. Not that far. Like over one hedge, there is like a little garden party happening And it's all of these like aristocratic elves and like noble fae. Um, and they're all sitting there, and the a servant comes up and whispers to one of them, an elven woman with just the most glorious golden hair. It looks almost like the metal, not just a color. Um, Flawless complexion, um, truly sort of immortal, ephemeral beauty. And she goes, "Woo-hoo-hoo!" And she turns to the person next to her and goes, "Did you hear? The youngest Pascal has come back to Gladwin." "What? Little Atwell? Little Addie?" "Oh, yes, I knew it was just a phase. I knew he'd be back before long." And this, like, this group of women is intensely gossiping about you. And it immediately spirals off to, like, speculation about your family and, like, it's like, "Well, I told his mother she wasn't raising him right, and look what happened. He's been on this phase." Just the most, like, diminishing, diminutive, like, they are talking about you like you are 4, not 97.
I am. I hang my head, not in shame, but I rub my brow and let out the most just exasperated sigh. Just, oh my god, this again.
I think there's actually some, like, spiritual and magical sort of friction happening here that goes with this. The closer you've gotten to the center here, you can feel all of this sort of spring fey energy pressing down on you. More than that, you feel your sword. Your sword is struggling. The energy that you have put into it wants to escape. It wants to flow back into you. But as you let out that sort of deep sigh, it's almost like the whole world sighs with you. For just a moment, there is an autumn breeze that blows through this courtyard. And somehow these green and vital trees start spilling beautiful, bright, a riot of colors of leaves falling down into this little tea party. And all of these elven women are so scandalized as these leaves fall in Gladwin for the first time in like 10,000 years. And maybe you feel a little bit better all of a sudden.
Yeah, there's definitely a little half smirk there.
How is everyone else feeling? What's your response to the grandeur, to the people around you?
I think I would be very cautious of everything and just trying to eye up everyone and kind of making some snap judgments about them. I think if I heard any of kind of the gossip that was going on that you were just describing, I would definitely like latch onto that and be like trying to sneak up a little bit closer and catch all of that.
Yeah, I mean they're just on the other side of like a tall hedge. So you can't see them from where you're at, but you can at least hear some of this. Anything else? All right. After a moment, a Gladwin servant comes and retrieves you. Again, it can't be stressed enough. Everyone here is unearthly beautiful. This guy is a butler. and he looks like a supermodel. He looks like a K-pop star. He looks like he's maybe late teens, early 20s. But if you had to guess, he would say he's probably 300 years old. The sort of presence of the spring court takes the normally long elven lifespan and cranks it up to the thousands of years. So you are led not into sort of the throne room, but into a sort of lesser receiving hall. On the one hand, this is a little bit of a snub because they're using a less formal setting. But the person waiting for you as you enter the room is none other than King Gladewind himself. He looks like, again, radiantly handsome elven man, long flowing golden hair, except what everyone else here has reflected in part, like just a little bit of that energy of spring. In him, it is this riotous burst. Literally, there's a wooden table, and his hands are resting on the table, and the table is trying to like grow and blossom again. So Damien, this is your like great to the 10th power grandfather.
How close were we in my family?
Almost not at all. There's like a main Gladewind family line, which you're like probably your great to the 9th power, great to the 8th power grandfathers are part of. But over time, it's sort of branched out. And the Pascal line, you're still Gladewind royalty, but you're not, I don't know. There's hundreds of Gladewind royals. Now, here's the problem. Socially and familially, you have spent almost no time with him. But the one time that you did have to interact with him was when you came to announce that you were leaving. Let's have a little flashback. So you and I have talked a little bit about what it is that actually made Damien leave. We'll say more about that later. What was the process like of carving out this sort of spring fae energy from your body?
I don't know. That was just something we discussed tonight beforehand, or this afternoon, really.
It's okay. No wrong answers.
I guess when I took up the blade, it I could feel a power, and while I didn't physically stab myself with it necessarily, um, as I do believe the blade would still harm me, I as you mentioned earlier, had put some of my own energy in there, into the sword. Um, uh, it wasn't something that I necessarily willed to happen, and it flowed freely like water. It was definitely more of a process, something that that I had to force, and it hurt, which is why I would say that I cut it out of me. Um, it I had to take pieces of myself and force it into the blade. Um, though I might argue with my family and say that it wasn't pieces of myself really, um, but it was something I had to do. Um, I couldn't. I needed to do that in order to be myself.
Yeah, so we sort of glimpse this truly harrowing process. Um, you know, even though you're not using the blade directly, there really is a sense of sort of carving here as you try to separate out what is truly you and what is this thing that the Queen of Spring has, they would say given, but you might say forced on her descendants. And so we see this excruciating process as this magical and spiritual energy is carved away. Um, your body like physically changing as you do this, like your hair changing color, um, as you strip away this energy of spring and bind it into this vessel. So the first time that you met King Gladwin was only a few days after that. You're barely recuperated. Um, you're having to like lean on the sword to stay standing. Um, he barely spoke, but you could feel this incredible pressure of judgment. Um, but there's also a sense of vindication because before your ancestors' judgment you would have felt like you had to change your mind, that you had to agree with him. And whatever you did, whatever you took out of yourself, that impulse to respond to his authority is almost gone. It's like it's reaching for a receptor that's no longer there. And so you listen as he formally removes your membership from the royal line, and you are banished from Gladwin lands. As you come in, all of those memories flash through your mind, and you see none of that on his face. He's every bit the sort of gregarious host. And he says, the executors of the Concordat, welcome. Please be seated. And more sort of butlers and maids come running out, and different drinks and snacks and things are laid all across the table. What do you all do?
I sit as far away as I can from him without being directly across from him, trying not to draw attention to myself, even though I know that a lot of attention is on me. If not from the guests, from the service staff that's serving everything. I know how rumors spread here.
Yeah, so you seat yourself at a distance. Again, it's almost like it's hard to tell if he even knows who you are.
I'm still trying to distance myself because I assume that if he didn't recognize me on sight, if he gets a better glimpse of me and sees the sword, that he will know. and I really don't want to start anything right now.
So all of you are seated. Does anyone else want to get in on this or respond?
I think I would sit and I would kind of maybe pick up some food or pick up a drink and kind of sniff it, and then put it down and drink from my own flask.
Knowing that you are a follower of Gerhun, no one is surprised. Not that he is necessarily the a lot of this sort of like conspiracy energy is something that you bring to your worship of him. But at the same time, like, they expect followers of Gerhun to be odd. How's Ferric doing? Is Ferric muted?
I think I was muted. Yep. Okay. We'll try this again. It's Ferric is everything just kind of like a curiosity to him to some degree. Like, despite having been sentient for a year, he hasn't actually done a lot of, I guess you'd say, socializing. So all of it's just kind of fascinating to him. So he's kind of just observing everything.
Just for fun, and because sometimes we should roll dice, whoever would like to can give me a history or insight check. There is something a little bit odd about the way that they're treating Ferric.
So do I roll too?
Yeah, and you can actually roll with advantage.
You said history or insight?
History or insight. All right. So Thorn definitely catches this. Ferric, you figure out that they're treating you differently, and they're definitely treating you a little bit nicer. You're not sure what to make of that. But Thorn, one time you ate a book on Elven and Fey royal etiquette. And so you have perfect recall of all the information that's been given to you through this book you consumed. And it takes you a minute to put it together. They're treating Ferric like a visiting crown prince. Like, not of this kingdom, but of another kingdom. Like, all of you are being treated respectfully in keeping with your role. But there's something extra going on there. So, as you all sort of get settled in, as you contemplate the nature of your reception here, one of King Gladwin's advisors comes out to sort of explain the situation. Most of it you already know. There is a concordat, an agreement between supernatural powers and divinities. It lays out things like borders and boundaries, the ways in which they can interact with each other's followers. Um, it's meant to sort of keep the peace. You don't want a archfey court going to war with the dragons, going to war with the undead, going to war with the gods. It would just end up with everyone dead. So everyone tries their best to uphold the Concordat, but occasionally there are inspections where they go and they send a representative group to go and investigate and make sure all the terms are being upheld. And that's what you all have been called to do. You're not the only group of executors. In fact, you're the most junior group, but you're expected to sort of grow into the role over the course of years and years of service. You won't be doing this all the time, but you'll be called back together every, say, 5 to 10 years to go and sort of address a different issue. And the issue that you have been called to address is taking place in the city of Green River. Now, Green River is a sort of small town. It's in the Rhinar Empire. The Rhinar Empire is this massive sort of traditional empire with an imperial family. Their patron deity is the Heavenly Empress. This sort of powerful ancestral deity who watches over the whole kingdom, and more importantly, empowers a number of clerics, sorcerers, warlocks, paladins, to sort of uphold the imperial family and to protect the kingdom. They're not someone you want to piss off. But something is happening in Green River, in Rhinar territory, and they would like you all to go investigate and figure out what's going on. Now, do you all have any questions before you head that way?
Nope.
Is there? This is CJ to DM. Is Are we given to understand that this is just a checkup, or do we get the sense that they suspect something is happening?
They definitely suspect something is wrong. Something is at work in this town that should not be.
Then, against my better judgment, I will lean forward at the table so that my face is visible and ask what exactly they suspect is happening. Like, what should we be looking for? This is our first investigation, after all. What sort of things do we need to be on the lookout for?
So the advisor pulls out a sheaf of papers, and you all are able to sort of pass them around, and they are authenticated copies of tax documents and travel census information.
And I let out another very heavy sigh. Never a simple answer.
So if you all would like, again, everyone can make, we're going to call this a history check. Well, this is what happens when I don't write any intelligence-based classes.
Have a +1.
Um, so I would say that with the reports next to each other, oof. Ferric, you're at least able to put together something about this information is off. It shows you like year-over-year totals. and Monkey, you also notice this. Basically, there is a massive spike in tax revenue from this town over the last 6 months, which they just noticed in the last month or two, because of sort of the speed at which all this information travels. But also, there are Imperial way stations up and down the road from Green River, and they've both noticed that there is just way more travel than there usually is. More people are coming to the city, and more people are going from the city than there possibly is a reason for. It's like not on the main road. It doesn't have like a massive industry. There is no good reason for everyone to be here. So something is drawing large numbers of people and then sending them back out into the world.
Are there any reports of them acting strangely before or after leaving?
Give me a medicine check. So you don't notice anything about their behavior per se. What you do notice, though, is when you take another report, it's about a month or two delayed past the rest of this information. So it's only like the last month or so. But the way stations and nearby cities have been reporting a slightly higher rate of illness. It seems like there is some kind of disease that nearby cities are dealing with.
Somebody's poisoned the water hole. So yeah, I tip my cowboy hat and I get up to mosey on out.
Yeah.
As a figure of speech, I do not actually have a cowboy hat.
Just for fun, one last check here. Damien, give me an insight check with advantage. So, even as you prepare to leave, you see nothing on the face of King Glademan. But one of the sort of servants here is maybe not quite, doesn't have quite the poker face that the rest do. He definitely thinks there's something off. Not sorry. He recognizes you. He is feeling super awkward about the situation.
The servant is?
So the servant recognizes that you are a Gladewin, or a former Gladewin, and is like dying of awkwardness.
I'm not good at improvising as a person, but let's pretend I say something very sarcastic and snarky, like a moody teenage emo goth kid would say to a parent or an older sibling, when trying to be not necessarily mean spirited, but in a way that's like, I am so over this.
So maybe we'll say like you recognize him by face and name, and so as you walk out, um, you're like, and it was good to see you too, uh, Eliatheosor. And the servant just goes even more like pale and awkward.
Good. Perfect.
Anyone else before y'all head out? All right. You all are invited to stay in sort of sumptuous quarters at the Gladewin Estate, and a yet another teleportation rift will be open for you all in the morning. And that's as far as we're going to make it tonight. I wish we'd gotten a little farther, but I appreciate you all putting up with me having to wait out screaming babies. So we will be back next time to see what these crazy kids get up to.
Right.
Sounds like a plan.
Bye, Internet.
Bye.